First contact gone wrong. Grand Admiral Zextal stood on the bridge of the Varaxian Empire's flagship, the Eternal Dawn, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he watched the human vessels approach. Their ships were crude by Varaxian standards, blocky, utilitarian things that looked more like orbital warehouses than proper warships. His lip curled in what passed for a smile among his kind. "Prepare to broadcast the standard surrender demands," he ordered, mandibles clicking with amusement. "Though I doubt these primitives will even understand the honor we do them by offering terms." The human ships, just 3 of them against his fleet of 30, continued their steady approach. Their designs were unlike anything in the Empire's extensive database of conquered species. No visible weapons arrays, minimal shielding from what their scanners could detect, and power signatures that seemed impossibly low for vessels of their size. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead human vessel." "Oh, put it through. Let's hear what these primitives have to say before we add their world to our collection." The voice that came through was calm, almost eerily so. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force vessel Quantum Horizon. You are entering restricted space. We advise immediate withdrawal." Zextal's secondary hearts nearly stopped from the sheer audacity. These humans dared to threaten the might of the Varaxian Empire. "Perhaps I wasn't clear," he responded, allowing his translator to convey the full weight of his authority. "This sector now belongs to the Empire. Your species has 2 options: immediate surrender or immediate extinction." "No," Captain Chen replied simply. "You have 1 option. Leave. We don't wish to demonstrate why that's your only choice." The bridge crew exchanged glances. Never had a species been so bold in the face of inevitable defeat. Zextal felt his blood rise with anger. Target their lead vessel. Show them the price of such insolence. The Eternal Dawn's main battery, a weapon that could crack a small moon, powered up with a deep thrum that resonated through the ship's superstructure. The energy beam lanced out, a brilliant purple streak across the void that should have vaporized the human vessel instantly. Instead, it passed through empty space. "Impossible," Zextal hissed. "Where did they?" The human ships were behind them. Not behind, as in they had somehow performed in faster-than-light jump, but behind as if they had always been there, as if the ships they had just fired upon had never existed at all. "Final warning." Chen's voice came again, unchanged. "Leave this space." Zextal's rage overtook his caution. "All ships, open fire. Destroy these arrogant primitives." The Varaxian fleet unleashed its full fury, enough firepower to glass a continent. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and kinetic rounds filled space in a deadly dance. And yet somehow, impossibly, each attack seemed to slip through reality itself, finding no target where the human ships should have been. "As you wish," Chen said, and there was something like regret in her voice. "Engaging quantum drive." What happened next defied explanation. The human ships didn't move so much as reality moved around them. Space itself seemed to ripple and fold, and suddenly the Eternal Dawn's sister ship, the Relentless, simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed. There was no debris, no explosion. It was as if that section of space had been rewritten without the ship ever having been there. "What sorcery is this?" Zextal demanded, his composure cracking. "What have you done?" "We tried to warn you," Chen responded. "Human ships are special. We don't just travel through space. We negotiate with it. Reality itself is our ally." 2 more Varaxian vessels vanished, unmade by whatever impossible technology the humans wielded. Zextal's tactical officer was practically vibrating with panic. "Sir, we can't target them. Our weapons pass through false images while we demonstrate why the galaxy will learn to leave Earth alone." Chen finished for him. "You won't be able to report this. The quantum drive doesn't just erase ships. It erases the very possibility that you were ever here. But we'll remember, and we'll warn the next species that thinks humanity is an easy target. Zextal watched in horror as his fleet disappeared ship by ship, not through violence, but through careful surgical removal from reality itself. His last thought before the quantum wake reached the eternal dawn was a desperate wish that he had heeded their warning. The battle, if it could be called that, was over in minutes. Where once a mighty Varaxian fleet had prepared to claim another conquest, now there was only empty space and 3 human vessels, their quantum drives humming with possibilities that no other species had even dreamed of. Captain Chen sat back in her command chair, feeling the familiar resonance of her ship's quantum core. Send word to command. Another potential invasion force has been discouraged, though I doubt anyone else will ever know they tried. Her first officer nodded grimly. Do you think they'll ever learn that humanity's ships aren't just vessels of metal and energy, but something more? They'll learn, Chen said, watching the quantum wake dissipate, taking with it all evidence that the Varaxian Empire had ever reached this far into space. One way or another, they'll learn. The quantum advantage. Deep within the quantum horizon's core, Dr. Marcus Rivera stood before a holographic display that showed reality not as it was, but as it could be. The quantum navigation system he had helped design didn't just plot courses through space. It plotted courses through probability itself. The Varaxians never stood a chance, he explained to the newly arrived Federation observer, Ambassador Lyanna Terrell. The blue-skinned diplomat watched with barely concealed awe as the display showed multiple versions of reality overlapping like sheets of transparent film. Their weapons were designed to work in normal spacetime. But our ships? We operate on a completely different level. How? Lyanna asked, her antenna twitching with curiosity. How did humanity make such a leap? Marcus smiled, remembering the breakthrough that had changed everything. We stopped trying to conquer space and started trying to understand it. Every other species treated faster-than-light travel as a matter of brute force. Tear a hole in reality. Force your way through. We asked reality for permission first. He gestured at the quantum core, a sphere of pure possibility contained within fields of structured probability. The universe isn't just 3 dimensions of space and 1 of time. It's an infinite number of potential states, all existing simultaneously until observed. We learn to negotiate with those states, to suggest to reality that perhaps our ships would work better over there, or that an enemy vessel would work better by never having existed at all. But the power requirements must be minimal, Marcus interrupted. That's what everyone gets wrong. It doesn't take much energy to change reality when reality itself is helping you do it. We don't force anything. We just suggest alternatives that the universe finds more elegant. The display shifted, showing the recent encounter with the Varaxian fleet. Watch closely, Marcus said. See how their weapons pass through our ships. That's because at the moment of impact, we've suggested to reality that our ships are actually several probability states to the left. The weapons hit where we were, but we were never really there. Lyanna's antenna went rigid with shock. You make it sound almost alive. In a way, it is. The quantum core doesn't just compute, it communicates. With space, with time, with probability itself. Every human ship is like a diplomat to reality, constantly engaging in negotiations about what is and isn't possible. He paused the display as it showed the moment the first Varaxian ship vanished. This is where it gets interesting. We didn't destroy their ship. We simply proposed to the universe that it would be more elegant if the ship had never been constructed in the first place. The universe agreed. No violence, no destruction, just revision. This is why you're showing me this, Lyanna realized. The Federation needs to understand what challenging humanity would really mean. Marcus nodded gravely. We don't want war. We've never wanted war. But we've moved beyond the point where conventional warfare could even touch us. How do you fight an enemy that can retroactively ensure you never existed? Breaking point. The Varaxian High Command Chamber had never been so silent. Grand Strategist Kelvor, the Empire's most brilliant military mind, stood before the assembled leaders, his scales pale with the gravity of what he was about to propose. "We must sue for peace," he said, his words falling like stones in the quiet chamber. "The humans cannot be defeated by conventional means." The chamber erupted in outrage. High Commander Zixthar rose from his throne, his ceremonial armor gleaming. "Impossible. We are the Varaxian Empire. We do not sue for peace. We conquer." Kelvor activated a holographic display, showing the last known coordinates of their missing fleet. 30 ships, he said quietly. 30 ships that not only no longer exist, but never existed. Our own records are changing. Even our memories of commissioning those vessels are beginning to fade. This is not an enemy we can fight. This is an enemy that can decide whether we ever existed at all. He gestured to a second display, this one showing energy readings from human space. "Look at their power signatures. They're impossibly low for what their ships can do. Why? Because they're not forcing their way through reality. They're working with it. They've transcended conventional physics." A science officer, Vertal, stepped forward. "We've analyzed every scrap of data we could find. Their quantum technology doesn't just alter the present. It negotiates with past and future simultaneously. They don't need to destroy our ships because they can simply suggest to reality that building them was too improbable to have happened." "Then we build better ships," Zixthar roared. "We adapt. We overcome." "You don't understand," Kelvor said, his voice heavy with resignation. "We're not losing battles. We're losing the right to have ever fought them. Each engagement doesn't just cost us ships. It costs us history itself. The humans aren't our enemies. They're becoming reality's preferred editors." The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. A junior commander spoke up, her voice trembling. "What happens if we continue to fight?" Kelvor's expression was grim. "Based on our projections, the humans won't just defeat our fleets. They'll propose to the universe that the Varaxian Empire would work better as a collection of peaceful trading worlds that never developed faster than light travel. And the universe, which seems to prefer their suggestions to our demands, will agree." He turned to face the High Commander directly. "We're not choosing between victory and defeat. We're choosing between existing as we are now or being edited out of history itself. The humans have transcended traditional warfare. They've become something new, not just explorers of space, but negotiators with reality itself. Surely there must be a way to counter this technology." Another commander insisted. "Counter it." Vertal laughed bitterly. "How do you counter something that can decide whether you ever existed to counter it? Our weapons pass through their ships because their ships can occupy multiple states of probability simultaneously. They don't evade our attacks. They suggest to reality that our attacks were statistically unlikely to have ever been launched." Kelvor brought up a final display, showing the spreading effect of human quantum technology on the fabric of spacetime itself. "Every time we engage them, we give them more opportunities to rewrite reality. They don't even seem to want to fight us. Every report indicates they warn us first, try to convince us to turn back. They've transcended beyond the need for violence. They simply adjust probability until peace is the most elegant solution. And if we ignore their warnings?" Zixthar asked, though his voice had lost its earlier conviction. "Then we take the chance that our entire civilization might be rewritten into something that never developed the ambition for conquest in the first place. They won't destroy us. They'll simply propose to reality that we would work better as something else entirely. And based on what we've seen, reality tends to agree with their proposals." The High Command chamber remained silent for a long time after that. Finally, Zixthar spoke again, his voice heavy with the weight of decision. "Draft the peace terms, and pray that the humans are as merciful with diplomacy as they are surgical with their quantum corrections." As the leaders filed out of the chamber, Kelvor remained, staring at the displays showing humanity's quantum signatures. They pulsed with possibilities, each one a reminder that the universe itself had chosen its favorites, and the Varaxian Empire wasn't among them. The last stand. Captain Sarah Chen stood before the Federation Council, her quantum core navigator's insignia gleaming on her collar. The chamber was filled with representatives from 100 species, all gathered to hear humanity's testimony about the Varaxian situation. "We never wanted this power," she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast chamber. "When we first discovered quantum navigation, we thought we'd simply found a more efficient way to travel between stars. We didn't realize we'd stumbled upon a way to converse with reality itself." The displays behind her showed the final confrontation with the Varaxian Empire. Not a battle, but something far more profound. The massive Varaxian peace delegation, approaching Earth with shields lowered and weapons powered down. "They came to us not in surrender, but in recognition," Chen continued. "They understood what we had become, not conquerors, not warriors, but something their language didn't even have words for. We had become probability architects, reality diplomats." The recording showed the moment of first contact between human quantum ships and the Varaxian peace fleet, where their ships had once passed through each other like ghosts. Now they existed in harmony, each accepting the other's right to be real. "The Varaxians taught us something too," Chen said, gesturing to where the Varaxian ambassador sat among the council. "They showed us that even an empire built on conquest could choose to change its own nature, not because we forced them to, but because they saw a better possibility for themselves." Ambassador Kelivor, once grand strategist, now a voice for peaceful cooperation, rose to speak. "My people stood at the brink of non-existence. The humans could have suggested to reality that we would work better as primitive organisms, or cosmic dust, or simply nothing at all. Instead, they showed us how to suggest our own possibilities to the universe." The displays shifted, showing the first joint human-Varaxian quantum navigation experiments. The sleek Varaxian ships, once designed for war, now rippled with the same reality-bending properties as human vessels. "We discovered something remarkable," Chen continued. "When we taught the Varaxians our quantum technology, they didn't just copy it. They found their own way of communicating with reality. Where we suggest possibilities through mathematics and probability, they do it through harmony and resonance. Together, we're learning that there isn't just one way to negotiate with the universe." The council chamber hummed with discussion as the implications became clear. Humanity hadn't just changed the balance of power, they'd changed the very nature of how species could interact with reality itself. "This is why we've called this session," Chen said, her voice cutting through the murmurs. "The quantum barrier isn't just a new technology. It's a test. Species that try to conquer it, to force it to their will, find themselves edited out of probability. But those who approach it with curiosity, with respect for the fundamental nature of reality itself, discover something profound." She gestured to the displays, now showing the combined human-Varaxian fleets moving through space in ways that defied conventional physics. "We're not here to announce our supremacy. We're here to invite you all to join us in conversation with the universe itself. The quantum barrier isn't a weapon. It's a door, and we found the key." Kelvor stepped forward to stand beside her. "My people once thought conquest was our destiny. Now we understand that destiny itself is negotiable. Reality is not a thing to be mastered, but a partner to be understood. The humans didn't defeat us. They showed us how to defeat our own limitations." The council chamber erupted in questions, but Chen raised her hand for silence. "We stand at a crossroads. Humanity and the Varaxians are ready to share our understanding of quantum navigation with any species willing to approach it with the right perspective. We can't guarantee you'll find the same methods we did. Reality seems to prefer diversity in its conversations, but we can promise you this: the universe is far more willing to cooperate than to be conquered." Legacy of Stars. 50 years after the Varaxian Peace Accord, Dr. Marcus Rivera stood in the observation dome of Quantum Academy Station, watching ships from a dozen different species practice their unique approaches to reality manipulation. Each vessel moved through space in its own distinctive way, some flickering between probability states like human ships, others singing to space-time like the Varaxians, still others using methods that defied traditional description. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Captain Chen, now Admiral Chen, said as she joined him at the window. Her hair had gone silver, but her eyes still held the same wonder they had when she'd first experienced quantum navigation. "More than beautiful," Marcus replied, watching as a crystalline meridian vessel rewrote local spacetime to create a perfect diamond lattice path through the void. It's evolution in action. Every species that joins the quantum concordat brings its own perspective on how to converse with reality. Below them, in the Academy's main hangar, the newest class of students from across the galaxy prepared for their first lessons in quantum navigation. Some would learn the human way of probability mathematics, others the Varaxian method of resonance harmonics, and still others would discover entirely new approaches. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Sarah asked, gesturing to where a young Varaxian instructor was teaching a group of human cadets about quantum resonance. "When we first developed quantum drive technology." Marcus shook his head. "We thought we were building better engines. Instead, we were learning to be better listeners. The universe wasn't waiting for someone to conquer it. It was waiting for someone to start a conversation." A flash of light drew their attention as a Centaurian vessel demonstrated its species' unique approach to quantum navigation, treating reality as a vast neural network that could be persuaded through patterns of thought and intention. "The meridians compose symphonies of probability," Marcus continued, his voice soft with wonder. "The Centaurians treat spacetime as a living mind. The Varaxians sing to the quantum foam. And somehow, it all works. Reality accepts each approach as valid, as long as it comes from a place of understanding rather than domination." "And the old empires?" Sarah asked, though she knew the answer. "Converting or fading," Marcus replied. "It's hard to maintain an empire when reality itself prefers cooperation to conquest. The quantum barrier turned out to be the greatest peacekeeping force in history, not because it could destroy aggressors, but because it could show them better possibilities." They watched as a group of ships from different species began a complex quantum navigation exercise, their various methods interweaving in a dance of possibility and probability. Where one ship suggested a path through reality, another would harmonize with it, while a third would extend the pattern into new dimensions of possibility. "We're not just exploring space anymore," Sarah mused. "We're exploring what's possible. Every species that joins the concordat brings new questions, new approaches, new ways of thinking about reality itself. And reality seems to enjoy the variety," Marcus added with a smile. "The universe, it turns out, has a profound appreciation for creativity." Below them, the next generation of quantum navigators continued their training, each learning not just the technical skills of their craft, but the fundamental truth that had transformed galactic civilization. Reality itself was a participant in their journey among the stars, not an obstacle to be overcome. A student's voice carried up from the training floor, "But how do we know which possibility is the right one?" The instructor, one of Marcus's former students, replied with the wisdom that had become the foundation of quantum navigation. "We don't choose the right possibility. We suggest possibilities and listen to what reality suggests back. The universe is not our enemy to be conquered or our tool to be used. It's our partner in exploration, and like any good partner, it has ideas of its own." Marcus and Sarah shared a knowing look. This was humanity's true legacy, not the development of quantum technology itself, but the recognition that the path to the stars led not through domination, but through dialogue. The ships were special not because of their power, but because of what they represented. The moment when humanity stopped trying to force its way through the cosmos and learned instead to dance with it. "Ready for the next class?" Sarah asked, checking the time. Marcus nodded, taking one last look at the ships moving through space like possibilities made manifest. Always. After all, reality itself is our greatest teacher, and it never runs out of lessons to share. Together, they headed down to join the next generation of those who would learn to speak with the stars themselves, each in their own way, all part of the greatest conversation humanity had ever joined.